Nobody is more sick of saying inner rocker panels than me. So today was a pretty big day though. We got the inner rocker panels. I'm gonna say it a few more times and then I'm done. The inner rocker panels are patched. They're solid, they're done. Big momentous occasion, number one. Number two, we broke 100 hours in this project. 105 hours in this car. Folks, 105 hours to get this car from wheeling it in the garage to this. Let's just take a minute. Let's just take a minute and think about that. It's actually not too bad if all you did was part-time. I'm sorry, if all you did was full-time. 105 hours is like 2.5 weeks. I don't do this full-time. I do this part-time at best. So 105 hours to me since September feels like a thrash. So now you kind of get an idea how we say we have 900 hours invested in the convertible. 3 years, 900 hours. I guess we can say September, October. Basically, we have a little more than 90 days, right? The project's a little more than 90 days because the channel, right? Our YouTube channel, guys, is only about 90 days old. And this started before that. So we're about on par. Okay. Here we are back on the W-31 project, the Mr. Jones car. This is the plate I made for the inner rocker. So you guys saw that I made some mounting plates to go behind the original inner rockers. And I've made this plate. This is one of 4. And this is gonna go in like this. Okay? And then I'm gonna put holes here. And I'm gonna plug weld this to those plates and then stitch weld all around there. And then I'll put some holes up here and weld that all together. So this, and then I'll metal finish all this so it'll look like it was almost never there. This is what I was talking about making, and I will probably just make the other ones and then install them all in one shot. But we're back on track and finally putting new metal in here. This is a pretty big moment. Not to say it's the beginning of the end, but we have a piece of metal installed. We have a new piece of metal installed in Mr. Jones. That's the first. That is the first piece of finished metal installed. And the cross member mounts somewhere about here for the floor, the floor brace. We only have 3 more to do. Not too bad, not too bad. It's not quarter panel work. You're not gonna paint it gloss black and look down the side of a quarter panel about it, but it's not too shabby. It doesn't look as smooth as it feels. This is really pretty flat here. So I'm pretty pleased with that. This is the next one to do. Then I'll come around here, do this one, and then the last one, that'll take some doing. There's quite a bit going on there.
Take a moment to stop by Etain, the Hudson Valley's only founded medical cannabis company. Start off the new year and your health and wellness journey by getting your first medical cannabis card from a qualifying practitioner. New patients get 15% for delivery at etainhealth.com.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Jack Johnson. Radio Woodstock 100.1 WDST.
Okay, my homemade, inexpensive metal brake. There's 2 pieces of angle iron. I put one on the bench, on the corner, and then I put my workpiece on top of that, and then another piece of angle iron on the top, and then I just use, good old-fashioned vice grip clamps to clamp that all together. Set my line where I want the bend to be, and then actually set that line right on the corner. And obviously you're not doing a 90, you know, exactly like you had a real metal brake. So there's going to be a little bit of discrepancy between where the, you know, the bend starts and finishes. So you got to kind of get a feel for that right there. And just heat it up with a little torch and take the good old-fashioned ball peen and get to ball peening and make that brake how you want it. In this case, I didn't want it to be a perfect 90. I wanted to have a little bit of that less than 90 bend to kind of match the rocker tab. It's pretty straight. You know, that line's pretty straight. I had to straighten it out, this piece, with a bigger hammer, 5-pound sledge on that. But I wanted this backbone right here to be a pretty straight piece. So this is gonna go, I've done the other ones. You know, that one's in, somewhat metal finished. That one is in and welded, and the other one here is. But now we're working on the really funky one. And this is gonna lay in, see if I can give you guys an idea of the profile. So if you can see there, that profile I want. Can I hold this thing while I'm doing it? That's a pretty good match right there. To that, is that a better job? Right there. And then this is gonna sit. I gotta hold this better for you guys. This is gonna sit like this. I'm gonna cut it to length. I gotta do a little notch on the inside. And then this rocker here will get, you know, drilled and spot welded to the top. And look like the rest of them. All right, so let me finish what I'm doing here, and then we'll go inside the car, and I'll show you how it fits better. Okay, here's the patch panel. Use the 3/16 hole punch to make some spot weld holes. They're gonna weld, like we've done in the other ones, to the plates that I've made. So here's how the plate fits in here. Not too shabby. I know we got some body work to do in here. I'm gonna maybe cut this out and put some sheet metal in there on that part, but this is the inner rocker patch. I'll weld this all in, and I gotta curl this corner out. This is a little inside there. It's not short, it's just countersunk, so I'm gonna pull that back out. And then clean this up. I got some spot weld holes in the top part of the rocker. Again, guys, we're trying to save as much of this original rocker as we can. So this is why I'm doing it this way, as opposed to cutting the inner and outer rockers out. Anybody who's done it, that they know that's a great big project. So, all right, this is number 4 of 4. So I'm feeling pretty good, right? And just make it happen, Captain. There it is, welded in. Pretty gnarly looking, I know. A lot of times, you know, I find myself putting a second weld over that, especially when you're gonna grind it and you're gonna metal finish it. You know, there's no reason to try and, you know, make the welds gorgeous. You just got to make sure you penetrate, make sure you get the metal to be glued together, if you will. And I'm pretty happy, as I've been saying, I'm pretty happy with that. Now I'm gonna make this piece. This is the rotted piece of the actual sheet metal that comprises the rocker. You can actually see a little bit of warpage there. So this is gonna get cut out right here. And I guess I'm gonna go right to this line. You know, the sill plate trim covers that. And again, Joe wants to try to keep, you know, some patina vibe going, which he's got plenty of patina on this one. But let me cut this out and work on this next. And then the plan would be that the rockers, the inner rockers, are relatively done until we get down into the bottom here of the rear seat area cross member, which we have. But you can see I got some work to do under there as well, making some patches for the floor. And no shortage of metal work here, crew. No shortage of metal work. But you know, just put metal in. and beat it, heat it, and grind it until you're happy with it. Okay, another view of that inner patch that I just put in. So this is that curved flange that I made. You know, it curves up that way. And the new rocker patch will fill in this spot, and then we'll spot weld it to that. And then over here, you know, it'll be metal finished. All right, so it's cut out. And again, I know a lot of guys like to make their piece first and then cut out around that piece. I find it just as easy. Cut the piece out. Make sure you get all the rusted metal out, like we said before. And make the piece fit that. If you got to go oversized and then catch up to it with a die grinder, you know, trim it. Look, nobody's winning any races here making these pieces. This is not a production facility. So just make the piece fit the void. All is well in the world. While I have this apart, I guess I may as well weld in the back side of this. This is the back side of that piece that we just put in. These are those little plates that I put in, original rocker to new one. So I have access here, so I may as well go in there and weld that in. Kind of makes you want to cut holes in the top of everything. Not doing that. Just going to weld in here. And then we will get to making this lovely piece, which is going to continue from here down to the original pinch weld. Again, we're going to put the new floors in, everybody, and I'm going to set the new floors on top of this. And we're going to seam seal this on the bottom. We're not going to butt weld new floors. This thing is pretty far gone, as I've said a million times. So we'll just put the new floors in, set them on top of this pinch weld. And I just want to make sure that we got some structure here. So my goal here is to make this piece for that passenger side rocker. Obviously this curve down has to be extended over this way. So I want to try to use portions of this quarter panel patch that we used on the convertible. And this will maybe cheat. I can get a head start on the bend there. And there's a flat section right here that I could cut that out of, 18 gauge, as opposed to going and getting another piece of metal. I have stuff, all over the place. So best to use what you got. I don't think that shape's going to give me, that downward shape right here is going to give me enough, that profile of a head start. I'd rather this sharper one, and then I can get going on that. All right, so let me trace this out and get to getting here. There it is, okay? Just get a good piece of metal that you got kicking around and cut out what you need, more than what you need, right? Take more than what you need. That's what I need. And I'm gonna play around with this to make this into this with a tab. I'm gonna take a piece of scrap and I'm gonna lay it inside the cut. Let me show you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna lay it inside the cut. Okay. I've kind of cheated already. I've kind of already cut this to the overall width of what I'm gonna be working with. I'm gonna take this, bad lighting on this side. Let me see if it's better on this side. I'm gonna trace the profile of what I need to cut. And then I'll have, a template. And that's how I'll know I'll get my other piece pretty true to what I'm looking for. So let's make this, I'll trace this out and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, a few minutes of grinding and you end up with something like this. And all this does is give me the profile of the rocker so that I know that I got to take that shape. Very easy stuff, right? You've seen a bunch of guys do it, and just do this. Okay, bend this to that. All right, there's my tool. Let me get to work. All right, so my little my faux metal brake. Just some angle iron clamped to the edge of the workbench. There's my template. And I use my template to initiate my bend. Oops, that's not the right way to hold it. This would be it. Now this isn't gonna be, oh man, I'm really messing it up here. All right, here's the piece. And here's the piece in place. So, oh, come on, there you go. Something like that. So, obviously, right? Okay, just lay right in there. That's where you want to be right now. Put this piece in, right? Floor pan, carpeting, sill plate trim. I mean, you're never going to see it, but still, I kind of spent a fair amount of time getting it to fit right, even though it doesn't want to lay in there. So, man, guys, I got to tell you, I have a hard time doing things one-handed. Guys that do this on YouTube on the regular, hats off to you, man. Hats off to you, because this is tough. So there's the piece, okay? That looks a little bit better. Man, oh man. There's the piece. It gets in there laid a little bit better. So let me tack this thing in, for crying out loud, and start cleaning up some welds here. But that's not so bad. Again, you're never going to see this. You will never see this. Unless we run no carpeting and no sill plate. Okay, back to work I go. And I'm going to just work this more with a little hammer and dolly. But that gives you an idea of, you know, how pretty quick you can get a rough shape. And I'll flatten that out a little bit. Let me work on that a little bit more. All right, here's the piece. And here's the piece in place. So, oh, come on, there you go. Something like that. Okay, who's still with me here? The piece is in. It's welded. It's ugly, right? But I'm gonna grind that all down and smooth it all out. You know, reminder, guys, you're never ever gonna see this. I'd rather have more weld left here so that I know it's structurally sound than making it totally flat and, you know, just have the welds, you know, fail over time. But 4 holes, or actually I think 5 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, punched in with the hole punch, spot welded to the new inner rocker plate that I made. Showed you guys how I bent this, relatively crudely, but I guess I would say effectively. And I will clean this up a little bit so it doesn't look, you know, so ugly. But okay, letting it cool down, and I'll show you what it looks like after some cleanup. All right, well, here's the status. All 4 patches are in, all 4 patches are welded, all the welding has been ground. I think what I'm gonna do though is on the very bottom, there's just some pitting from the original skin. I really didn't want to separate the inner rocker from the rocker tab on the outside. I didn't want to get disturbing that. So I left that line, and there's some pitting there. So I think I'm gonna weld up those pits and then grind them smooth. But there's that patch on the rocker. And I don't have to go crazy really making that look perfect, because heavy pitting here. You know, reminder, guys, right? This you know, this body's pretty far gone, and we're doing our best to work within the confines of you know, a time and monetary budget, but B, you know, let's be practical here. You know, we're not talking about a, you know, $250,000 car. We're just not. So we have to be realistic with what we're doing here. Okay, it's going to be fine. It's going to be structurally sound. It's going to be solid, and we're going to be able to run this car. You know, blast through the gears. You know, but we saved the rocker, so I'm happy. We got rocker panels. This car's got. This is not a hole. This is the original undercoating there. So I don't know if that might look deceiving in the video. It might look like I have holes there still. I do not. There are no holes there. That's solid. And this is all solid along with that upper piece. So good progress today. And I'm just gonna, the really boring part now is the details. Just, you know, spot weld all those little pits up, a couple little thin welds. I'll just kind of weld all those things up grind that all smooth, and then we're gonna have to just keep on trucking here. And the next thing will be underneath here. Underneath here, that cross member has some rot. This floor has some rot. But I have a new cross member here, and I might just take a section out of that as opposed to cutting the whole thing out, because it really doesn't look rotted. Here, maybe a little bit there. Okay, maybe a change of plans. we might be changing that whole thing. All right, everybody. As promised, we're moving on to other things on the Mr. Jones W-31 project, and as usual, Mr. Jones has a little different idea of what we're going to be doing. Let me crawl in here and show what we got. We were going to just replace portions of the cross member underneath this floor. And John and I have learned that none of this is viable, and we don't want to play around. So that said, we're going to do some more serious dissection here. And probably get into, you guessed it, those two words I said I'd never say again together. But we'll be doing that probably.